Yes!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of The Completionist. Today on the show, I'm playing Dishonored 1. This game actually has been a game I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time, and it was one of those games where I saw it and I didn't know if it was going to be good. Everyone loved it, DLC came out, I got to play Dishonored 2 at a private event a few months ago, and I just had to indulge, because today, Dishonored 2 comes out, and guess what, if you buy it on PS4, you get Dishonored 1 for free, so it's just a double whammy situation. Let's play Dishonored 1 and kill some people. I mean, steal some things. I mean, kill people and steal things. Video games are great. Man, oh man, I love me some stealth games. There's just something so delightful about outwitting your opponents and sneaking right past them. We don't get new stealth games as often as other genres, so I try to keep my ear to the ground for upcoming opportunities for creeping. And with Dishonored 2 releasing today, I was reminded of how the original Dishonored somehow sneaked under my radar when it was released back in 2012. Clever girl. Dishonored apparently has a pretty interesting design philosophy behind it. It gives players a lot of freedom in how they can use and combine the game's mechanics, and it offers several methods for players to accomplish their objectives. It's like letting your kid run wild at the playground. Go ham, my little dude. This permissive attitude was present even during the playtesting phase. When playtesters would occasionally use skills in ways that the developers didn't foresee, instead of nerfing those abilities, those devs would actually change the levels to accommodate the new possibilities. That kind of openness probably made Dishonored a nightmare to balance, so the fact that the game was so well received by players and critics seemed even more impressive. After doing my research, it seems like Dishonored isn't a particularly long experience, but to complete it, you're looking at multiple playthroughs. I've got a little bit of flexibility in how I choose to go about it though. I can make things simple by doing one playthrough for each requirement, or I can lump up a few playthroughs together, making them tougher and more restrictive. Not to mention the horde of trophies that this game has, and thanks to the fact that I'll be playing Dishonored the Definitive Edition for the PS4, the 3 DLC packs that are also included in the game. My plan is to first play through the main campaign, aiming for the minimum 2 playthroughs. One in which I'll be a non-aggressive, sneaky boy, and in the other I'm basically gonna kill everyone I meet. Then I'm gonna hit up the DLC, complete with multiple playthroughs, and finally finishing things off by replaying a random mission or two in order to nab the last of the straggler trophies. I think I'm gonna be staying in the city of Dunwall for quite a while. But as always, I do have a couple of concerns. Namely, I'm worried that choosing to beat the game with so much specific criteria for both of my playthroughs is gonna take a crazy amount of diligence and patience. Hopefully, I'm still able to enjoy the game while constantly referencing my extremely long list of do's and don'ts. And then there's the DLC pack known as the Dunwall City Trials, which sounds not just challenging, but like one of those things that's gonna make my blood pressure skyrocket. You guys couldn't have called it anything else? Like the Dunwall runs? At least that way I wouldn't be aware of how bad it's gonna be. Lie to me, goddammit! With all that said, I'm still looking forward to finally seeing what Dishonored has to offer. Dishonored painstakingly creates a magnificent and engaging steampunk world that deftly facilitates the many combinations of choices that its players may end up making. In short, this game pretty, this game smart. The story begins with Corvo Attano, the character you play as, returning from a mission abroad to his home sweet home of Dunwall, a city where the plague runs rampant, vermin swarm the streets, and religious zealotry is all the rage. However, Corvo's homecoming isn't all doom and gloom, since he's quickly reunited with his young, charged little Princess Emily. And these two genuinely adore one another. We're talking Denzel and Dakota in Man on Fire levels of devotion here. Yet the reunion is short-lived, as assassins attack Corvo, Emily, and her mother, the Empress. The princess is kidnapped, and the Empress is murdered in cold blood, leaving Corvo all alone to take the blame. He's tossed into jail, where it's revealed that two trusted members of the aristocracy, also known as the Baldhead Brigade, were behind the attack on the Empress. With their betrayal a secret and with the Empress out of the way, they've got all the power they need to control Dunwall. Hey, it may be a shitty place to live, but being in charge of it is still impressive. Corvo is eventually busted out of prison by a group of rebels who are loyal to the late Empress and her daughter. These Loyalists explain to Corvo that they want him to use his unique skills to take out, as he sees fit, all the people who were involved with the betrayal of the royal family. After being gifted with some new gear by the Loyalists' weaponer, and after making contact with the mysterious vampire-looking entity known as the Outsider, who endows Corvo with dope-ass magical abilities, Corvo sets out to find Emily, get his revenge, and restore justice to Dunwall. Now, Dishonored's premise may not be the most novel, but a ton of work has clearly been put into creating these three-dimensional characters, relationships, and settings. But despite that effort, the developers still allow the player to ignore or absorb as much as they want narratively. The game tries very hard to maintain its first-person perspective, refraining for the most part from taking the controller out of the player's hands. Even during the game's extended talking bits, the immersion is rarely broken, making the world feel all the more real. Much of the deeper lore and exposition comes from sources that could easily be rejected if the player is so inclined, such as documents and audio recordings scattered all around Dunwall.
Corvo's unconscious again. Though he's taken more punishment than the two men we brought in for interrogation.
There's also an item called the Heart, which mystically leads Corvo to hidden items. But it also reveals information about Corvo's current location, as well as secrets about whoever's nearby. On top of all of that, Dunwall consistently remains visually impressive and interesting. There's so much detail packed into the streets and corridors that it actually feels like a living, breathing, corrupted cancer of a city. Admittedly, a lot of its locations end up feeling a bit too similar to one another, but they're all gorgeous in their own brown, decrepit way. And then there's the hundreds and hundreds of lines of dialogue recorded by Dishonored's massive voice cast. Their performances only make the characters seem even more real, and there are even some bona fide celebrities in there. Oh, we fancy, huh? We've come a long way since the original Resident Evil.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Considering how downright depressing Dunwall is, I never thought I'd enjoy it as much as I have. I guess it just goes to show that when you create a solid world and a nice package, the player can't go wrong, no matter how they choose to experience it. When it comes to Dishonored, it's like Captain Planet said, the power is yours. I don't want heart, give me fire or earth. What the hell am I gonna do with a pet monkey? Allow me to reiterate, playing Dishonored is like rolling through Burger King, because you can basically have it your way. That is to say, if you're completing it, you're gonna have it pretty much every way. It's tough at times, always tasty, and in the end, you're glad you ate there. Is this analogy holding up? Anyone? Just gonna end it now. Hashtag eat at Burger King. Hashtag pay me Burger King. All the different ways to play Dishonored can basically be broken down into two categories: slinking through the shadows and saying fuck it and just going John Hamm. And hey, both are great, and regardless of which method you choose, you're gonna have tons of badass gadgets, skills, and occult abilities at your disposal. Corvo's gear includes his trusty crossbow, sticky grenades, and little traps called spring razors, which are exactly as painful as they sound. His supernatural powers are where it's at though. You can use an ability called Blink to teleport across short distances. You can use Bend Time to slow or even stop time, and you can even possess people like you were Patrick Swayze. Good. Now let's go find Demi Moore and make some pottery. The primary targets for your techniques are the Dunwall guards that seem to patrol just about every nook and cranny in the city. But you'll occasionally encounter exciting enemies like the Weepers, humans who've reached the final stages of their rat-borne infection, and even the plague rats themselves. Seriously, these little bastards will swarm you like you entered into their gang territory. For the love of God, stab the rats! Stab all the rats! The most important targets in the main campaign and the side missions offer the most critical opportunities for moral, narrative, and gameplay choices. When you encounter a high-priority victim, you'll always have a choice between slaughtering them where they stand and dispatching them with a little bit of mercy. But how you choose to do so ends up affecting the rest of the game in serious ways. And it's really cool to see how Corvo solves the same problem in more than one way across multiple playthroughs. There are tons of different collectibles hidden in each of Dishonored's levels. There are bone charms, which give Corvo passive buffs when equipped, making him an even more unique snowflake of dark vengeance. There are runes, which you can use to upgrade your dark arts, and there's even paintings that you can steal. In Dishonored, you can become an actual art thief. God damn, what an age we live in. And then there's the coin. Even in Dunwall, money makes the world go round, so making sure to track down every single piece of coin in each level is a necessity. Thankfully, the coins actually serve a purpose, as you can use them to purchase better gear and ammo. But there's honestly no way to find every coin in every single level without a walkthrough. In fact, due to the very nature of the game, attempting to complete Dishonored in general without some sort of guide would take more time and patience than I have to spare. Let me explain. On my first playthrough of the campaign, I allowed myself to go crazy. I shoved people out of windows with gusts of wind. I summoned my rat minions to eat away at those who would subdue me. I rained down death on anyone who crossed me, and I wasn't just indulging myself. There's actually a trophy for finishing the game while in high chaos, which basically means causing as much havoc as possible. Slicing and dicing my way through the game also gave me the opportunity to unlock a few other combat-centric trophies, as well as familiarize myself with the levels and layouts before the real challenge, the stealth playthrough. Not only did I have to beat the game aiming for low chaos, I had to do so without killing anyone and without being seen at all. On top of all of that, I had to do so on the hardest difficulty, while making sure to grab every collectible. This was my penance for sinning during the first go-around. Even with the work I put into learning the enemy's patterns and routes, I still needed help learning the optimal paths through the levels, making sure to remain undetected and nab every item. And that's not to say that following the guide automatically made things go smoothly. I got spotted all the time, which ruined my playthrough every time, forcing me to reload the latest save every time. I have now come to hate that detection sound effect. All the mechanics used to stay ninja-like are dope, like using your powers to maintain high ground, picking pockets and peeking through peepholes. There's no new game plus or anything, but your actions during the campaign will affect the events of that story and your ending. The same rules apply to the 2 narrative-focused DLC packs. They feature Dowd, an assassin with similar powers to Corvo, as the playable character. His 2 stories, called The Knife of Dunwall and The Brigmore Witches, offer up even more ways to play, as well as a very different perspective on the main story. Yet again, my first trip through these mini-campaigns were far more chaotic than my second ones. And although the chapters are smaller, there are still plenty of things to collect and plenty of choices to make, many of which will determine Dowd's ultimate fate at the end of his story. And then there's the Dunwall City Trials, which are 10 little missions that have nothing to do with the main story, but they require you to push all of Corvo's abilities to the max in order to earn a high score. You have to complete combat challenges, stealth challenges, and races in order to earn 3-star ratings in each mission. But you're not even done at that point, because there are expert versions of 6 of the challenges, and this is where things start getting really shitty. Most of the expert trials are easy enough, but 2 in particular are a nightmare. First off, there's Back Alley Brawl, in which you have to kill a certain number of enemies in order to get 3 stars. This is the easy part. The hard part is that there's a trophy called By My Hand Alone, which requires you, and only you, to kill all 53 enemies that spawn from round 1 to 12. The issue is, enemy types that spawn are random, and they're on opposite factions, meaning that some enemies will actually fight and kill each other. Oh, did you 2 guys over there take each other out? Huh? Well, guess what? There's no way to complete the goddamn challenge now. This trophy, hands down, took the most time out of any trophies I encountered. And then there's the Bonfire Trial, in which you have to use Corvo's blink ability to reach checkpoints in succession before time runs out. Sounds simple, right? It is. It is very simple if you're a fucking machine. The level of perfection required to get 3 stars on this trial is utterly brutal. The problem is every blink point is randomly generated, so you have to pray to RN Jesus that you'll be given a reasonable run. There is no method, only madness. Only around 250 people in the world on PS4 have ever gotten all 3 stars on this challenge. And I'm happy to say that I'm somehow one of them. Hooray! Despite how many times you have to beat the game and how many crazy hoops you have to jump through along the way, completing Dishonored stays engaging and rewarding. After all, you can't get bored if you're constantly doing something new. Outside of the fun of actually playing the game, there's not much of a reward for completing or even beating Dishonored. That sad fact is still as disappointing as ever, but the game ended up being not nearly as troublesome as I thought it would be, and far more fun than I would have guessed. All in all, while completing Dishonored, there were 52 deaths, 76 hours of total playtime, 3 total campaign playthroughs, including 2 playthroughs of both stories' DLCs, 11 paintings pilfered, 16 trials passed, 81 trophies unlocked. 81! Sorry, just 81. And 1 juicy Whopper from Burger King. Burger King. It's a wonderful restaurant when they pay me. Dishonored is a great game to jump into and go wild, no matter how you like to play. And if you like the way it feels, are open to other types of play styles, and have a lot of time on your hands, then completing Dishonored can be a great experience after all. Dishonored 1 has an incredible narrative attached to a wonderful, unique experience involving you picking what you want to do. If you want to be the good guy, then be the good guy. You want to be the bad guy, then be the bad guy. If you want to steal everyone's shit, then steal everyone's shit. However, as a completionist, this is one of those games that will, in fact, drive you crazy. And even when you're playing the true side, whether it be high chaos or low chaos, you're kind of in that zone of, I have to be the best to do this. Overall, I really love Dishonored. That of my guys, I give this game my completionist rating of finish it.
Finish it!
That's all the time we have for today, guys, so please, as always, let us know what you thought about today's episode somewhere on the internet. If you want to check out my personal channel, it's youtube.com/GerardCompletionist. If you want to check out my Let's Play channel, it's youtube.com/SuperBeardBros. If you want to check out our fighting game channel in the TOVG network, it's youtube.com/SuperCouchFighters. If you want to check us out on Twitter, you know where it's at. I'm just pimping stuff at this point. If you're still here, tweet at me just one, just the number 1, maybe even a smiley wavy emoji. Feels good to know you're still here, doesn't it? I feel good. I definitely feel good. This is Kirby. What's up, Kirby? Bonus points if you send me a Kirby emoji. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna change my name from Shankmaster J to Shakemaster J. Hey, it is late. Are you still here? I don't know. It's been a long week. We all crazy. This is Brett in the shot.
Rock and roll. Look at that.
Shake.
Oh.